welcome to Life Interrupted and our second podcast of Remembering Remarkable Lives. And I have here my co-podcaster, Vicky Skinner.
Hello.
And we're going to be looking at some of the people that passed away in October of 2025. All right. So are you ready to get into this? How are you doing, Vicky?
Well, it just occurred to me that maybe I shouldn't have a serial killer on my shirt for this kind. Like, is that insensitive that I have Michael Myers staring at you through his
Well,
little eye holes?
do you think he killed any of these people?
I
That's the
don't,
question.
I mean, as far as we know, he's currently dead, but evil never stays dead, so it's
This
hard
is
to.
true.
I'm doing all right. I don't know about you, but the storm kept me up last night, man. The lightning was hitting so close to our house that it was waking me up, and so I'm tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep.
The dogs are keeping me
Hmm.
up.
Yep,
I
yep.
sleep through I sleep through most of it. There was one time where there was, you know how when lightning strikes, it's the lightning and crack of thunder at the same time, and that it did that last night. So I figured somebody close got hit.
Hmm.
But Raven heard the storm coming and she started scratching at the gate. I thought she wanted to go outside. I opened the back door and she just looked outside and I saw the rain starting to drop. I said, "Oh, okay." So I slept in the living room. But yeah, it was pretty violent storm last night. Do you think that your shirt might have any it might like copyright things? Should we blur it
You
out or
might have to like blur it. We'll do this the whole time. It'll be fine. No, it could be. I don't think anyone's gonna sue us for copyright infringement, but I guess they could.
we don't have like a ton of listeners anyway, so
If anyone's out there listening, please don't have me sued for copyright infringement.
Okay, let's get into these. So, the first person I want to look at is Jerry Leggio, an American actor born on September 23rd, 1935, and died on October 1st. He was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and died in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He appeared in TV shows such as American Horror Story. He was in the movies Sister Sister, Hush Hush, and Sweet Charlotte. He did some stage plays such as A Streetcar Named Desire and Camelot as King Arthur. And I just thought it was interesting that he was both born in Baton Rouge and died in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So
Some
they had like
people keep their home base forever.
yeah, and I think I read they did some kind of a ceremony for him there too. It was a pretty big deal.
Hmm. His face is very familiar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love American Horror Story. I just don't know which
Hmm.
character he played in it.
I've not ever seen it.
You never see American Horror Story?
I haven't. I know I should. I feel overwhelmed because there's so much of it now that it's like I should have gotten in on the ground floor with it, and now I feel a little like, oh, there's a lot going on.
I don't know. I mean, each season can be watched individually, and you
Yeah.
don't have to watch. The thing about all the seasons is that they have a lot of the same actors in
Hmm.
them.
And
So,
I know that Gaga's in one, right?
hmm
And
she's in the hotel one.
I think Ariana is supposed to be in the upcoming season, if I'm not mistaken. So
Hmm
I should
Okay.
I should get on it. I should do that.
hmm I like it. I've seen it several times. I love it.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for Jerry.
All right. Our next person that I want to talk about is Balin Miller. He's an American mountaineer born on January 12th, 2002 in Anchorage, Alaska, and died on October 1st on El Capitan in California. He started climbing with his father and brother at the age of 3. By the time he was 12, he was a serious climber. Later, he started ice climbing. He lived out of his silver Prius, worked odd jobs such as crab fishing and mining to support his climbing. A fellow Alaskan climber called him the new king of the Alaska Range. He said he climbed for freedom, not for fame. He had finished his climb on El Capitan in Yosemite National Park in California, His haul bag got stuck on the rock face, and when he went down to get it after summiting, he rappelled off the end of his rope. He fell 2,400 feet and died at the age of 23. It is said that rappelling off the end of a rope can happen when a stopper knot is not tied at the end of the rope.
Man, that's stressful.
And if you ask anybody who has died in this way, and they would tell you that would be the way they would want to die, doing what they love and what they're passionate about.
So
But
yeah.
23, yeah.
And I've heard a lot of dissent about, especially now with the state of Everest, how it is at the moment, that there's a lot of arguing of the people who don't see the value in this kind of stuff go, stay off these mountains, stay off the cliffs, stop doing, leave nature alone, all this stuff. I understand the sort of natural instinct to conquer and to discover and to be free, like he said. If they're not hurting anyone but themselves, I don't know.
In order to climb Everest, you have to pay the country of, I believe is it Tibet?
Yeah, it's bad.
And China on one side and Tibet on the other. And you have to pay them tens of thousands of dollars to climb Everest. That's just to the government for permits. That's not including the Sherpas. That's not including your gear or your food or your time away from work or any of that. And I know that the climbers leave a lot of stuff up there, and there are dead bodies up there, the climbers that have gone and died on the mountain. But I would think with all that money that all the climbers give, that the country themselves could do something to help maintain the mountain and get some of that stuff down.
Well, so, it's dangerous, and
Of
I can
course.
understand them not wanting to. They already send Sherpas up there, and so I don't know. I think I can see both sides of it. I think it's a complicated issue, but either way, it's unfortunate.
It is. It is because, like I said, people want to do that. It's within human nature to want to better ourselves, to want to take on challenges, to do those things. You have this giant mountain that people are going to want to climb, and if it's in your country, I think you have a duty to maintain it, or especially if you're going to be charging those climbers just for the permits to come into the country and climb it. That's all they're there for. They're
Right.
not there to do anything else. And the country themselves is doing nothing about it. So, all right, the next gentleman is Remo Gironi, Italian. He's an Italian film and stage actor born on December 1st, 1948, and died on October 3rd, 2025. He appeared in many films from 1974 to 2023. He was best known for his role in Ford versus Ferrari as Enzo Ferrari. And you saw that, didn't you?
I have not seen it
Oh, I
yet.
thought you had.
No, and it's supposed to be one of the best racing movies, but it's never streaming. It just dropped on streaming like a little bit ago, and so I really want to watch it.
Yeah. The next actor, who is very familiar because I recognize him from The Breakfast Club and The Fugitive, but is Ron Dean, an American film and TV actor born on August 15th, 1938, and died on October 5th. He appeared in Risky Business, The Breakfast Club, The Fugitive, The Dark Knight. His most notable part was Detective Marion Zeke Crumb in the show Early Edition. That was a good show. I remember watching it. It was about a guy who got an early edition of the newspaper delivered to him in the morning, and of what was going on the following day, so he could stop things that were going to happen.
I remember that show. Who was he in The Breakfast Club?
He played Emilio Estevez's dad.
Oh, so he's only in it for like a second.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay. I
beginning at
was,
the end.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's doing the one who pushed him and to be a better wrestler and to do all this and don't blow your ride, and yeah.
Okay.
The next person I want to talk about is Ken Parker. One of the things I love about doing these types of things is you get to learn some new words, and he was an American luthier. A luthier is a guitar designer, repairer, somebody who works with guitars. He was born on August 25th, 1952, and died on October 5th, 2025. He was known as the founder of Parker Guitars and designed the Parker Fly electric guitar. He is also known for incorporating non-traditional materials such as fiberglass and carbon fiber reinforced polymer blend with mahogany, basswood, and spruce. By doing this, his guitars weighed around 5 pounds, where other guitars weighed anywhere from 7 to 9 pounds. Parker was also the first one to use stainless steel frets. The Fly had 11 patents and is featured in the Smithsonian Institute. The Fly is used by musicians such as Johnny Mitchell, Trent Reznor, and Matthew Bellamy and Phil Keaggy. He also designed the archtop guitar.
I was looking at the names. Trent Reznor is one of my favorites. So
Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor,
Trent Reznor. And Phil
beautiful.
Keaggy. Phil
And
Keaggy
Johnny
is a
Mitchell.
Christian.
Oh, I see, and I that name is super familiar.
Yeah, I was like, Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails. Right. Next person is John Woodvine. He's an English actor born July 21st, 1929, and died on October 6, 2025. He worked for a while as a semen tester in a laboratory in King's Cross Station, and then undertook national service as a wireless operator with the Royal Air Force. He played opposite Sir Ian McKellen and Judi Dench in a production of Macbeth. He was in many different TV shows, movies, and stage production. The one thing I remember him from was he played the doctor in An American Werewolf in London. One of his daughters, Mary Woodbine, is also an actor. I didn't recognize her.
I was literally just doing that. His face is so familiar to me. I don't recognize her either.
Yeah, that's all I remember him. It was An American Werewolf in London.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, I think the picture I have in there is
I was
from An
just
American
about to say that. Yeah, I was just about to say, is that him? I just saw it recently, but I don't remember a whole lot of it.
Yeah. Okay, the next person is Diane Keaton, an American actress born January 5th, 1946, and died October 11th, 2025. Her mother won the Mrs. Los Angeles pageant for homemakers, and the production made Diane Keaton want to be an actress. She also credits Katharine Hepburn as inspiration because Hepburn played strong, independent women roles. She did commercials and bit roles in TV shows before being cast in The Godfather. She collaborated a lot with Woody Allen in his films. She became known for playing a complex, modern American woman, a paradox of self-doubt and assurance. She dated Woody Allen during performing in his films, with Al Pacino during the Godfather production, and with Warren Beatty while filming Reds, but didn't like the spotlight that Beatty got in the tabloids. She adopted a daughter in 1996 and a son in 2001. She was a Christian growing up, but became agnostic as an adult. She was active in campaigns with the Los Angeles Conservatory to save and restore historic buildings in the Los Angeles area. She helped to restore the Ennis House in Hollywood Hills, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. She was also a real estate developer who bought and restored houses before reselling them.
Fascinating. I don't have a ton of experience with her films. I think I didn't connect a lot to that character, that you were talking about, that she did choose very specific roles. And I think she was often in movies that I didn't, not that I didn't like them, I didn't necessarily like watch them, but she herself, outside of her film, was always such a touchstone for actresses to advocate for themselves and to be very strong and to not conform, in the sense, not that she wasn't beautiful and feminine and all of these things, but she had her own style, she did her own thing, she wasn't gonna just do what people were telling her to do. So I had a ton of respect for her just as a woman and as a professional, So she's very cool. I know that she did a lot of very groundbreaking things throughout her career.
Yeah, I remember when as a child, the first thing I ever saw her in, which is why would a child be watching this movie, was Looking for Mr. Goodbar. I don't remember much about it. I thought about going back and watching it again, but it was about a girl who was sexually liberated, and she slept with a lot of men, and one of them ended up killing her.
No,
She was an amazing person.
yeah, yeah. And the First Wives Club is still always and forever one of my favorites. When I heard she had passed, the very first thing I wanted to do was watch the iconic ending of the movie that I used to sing and dance along with when I was a kid, and I just
Mhm.
love that movie. And she plays that role in that movie of the woman who stops performing for the man and stops trying to please the man who does not appreciate her, that does not find her worthy as she is, and realizes that she doesn't need to exist for him, that she should exist for herself. And I do love her character in that movie a lot.
Yeah, I do too. But all the ladies in there are
Yeah.
magnificent,
Oh,
wonderful. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Icons.
yeah. All right, the next person is Drew Struzan, an American artist, illustrator, and cover designer, born March 18th, 1947, and died on October 13th. He designed more than 150 film posters, including The Shawshank Redemption, Blade Runner, E.T., Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, and the Star Wars film series. He did album artwork for The Beach Boys, Black Sabbath, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Alice Cooper. His work has been featured on such items such as Franklin Mint collectible plates, including the Life of Princess Diana and the 2007 James Stewart stamp. He worked in a backyard studio and lived in California with his wife, Dylan. He had a son named Christian, and after retiring from full-time work in 2008, spent much of his time caring for his grandchildren. And I think his stuff is it's just brilliant.
Hmm. I mean, some of the most iconic posters in the world. It's so crazy. I recently met someone who does that, who creates movie posters, and I'm like, the creativity to go, okay, we need you to sum up the theme of the movie and the tone of it, but also make the stars look good, and also it has to be artistic, and it's such a cool job. You look at Indiana Jones and it's like this is one of the most iconic photos ever, and it was on
Hmm.
people's walls. This is just crazy.
Yeah, my favorite was always the original Star Wars poster. I would love
Mm-hmm.
to have an original Star Wars poster, but they're collector items now.
Hmm.
You can get remakes, but you can't that original one, which I think is, of course, that's what was shown. That was outside the movie theater when I went to go see Star Wars for the first time.
The first time I saw it, the poster several years ago, I thought it was a like a joke poster because of course Luke is there with like his shirt open and his like muscular chest, and I'm like, this is not indicative of this character. When is he ever ripping his shirt open in his chest? And so it almost looks like an old school clinch cover for a romance novel or something, and it's like, what am I even looking at? But of course then this Darth Vader and the Death Star and all that, it's just so recognizable, and it's funny, but it's a great poster.
Yeah. And of course, you don't realize it, but the way he did it with Darth Vader is the main person on there. And
Mhm.
then who's inside of Darth Vader but his children?
Oh yeah, okay, all right. And this one was for episode 4.
Hmm.
Okay.
We just watched it recently. We just finished watching them,
Mhm.
4, 5, and 6. And because of the new movies, which I hated that they did it, but because of the new movies, 1, 2, and 3, and 7, 8, and 9, they changed things in the original ones. They
Mhm.
didn't change much in the first and second one, but the third one,
Mhm.
they changed the actor at the end. So
Mhm.
originally it was Darth Vader was David Prowse.
Mhm.
and they changed the actor at the end
To Hayden.
to reflect
Mhm.
the new Anakin Skywalker. And the music at the end was
Mm.
changed to go along with the music in the other movies, the later movies. And I was like, well,
No, I don't know a single fan who was happy about them putting Hayden Christensen in there. So you're not alone on that one. I don't know if I call myself a Star Wars fan. I really enjoy them, but I feel like I've not earned this title of fan. But a lot of the people I know have issues with the way that even going from 7 and 8 into 9, like they were always making big changes to writers, directors, stuff like that, that was just no one could agree on what the story was supposed to be. It could have been truly something great. And of course it is something great, but in the sense they could have been greater. But
yeah.
they fumbled it a little.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do them back then. If they had done them all back then they could have done spin-offs and TV shows like they do now, but it would have been because I am a Star Wars fan of the 70s original ones.
Mm.
The new ones, whatever. Okay, the next person I want to talk about is Vicky,
Big, see?
a South Korean author born in 1990 and died on October 16th, 2025. She was known for her book, I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat. Kabuki?
No. Maybe?
No,
Teokiboki?
Kabuki. The books detailed her treatment for her chronic depression, comfort eating, self-harm, and suicide. As a child, she witnessed her abusive father beat her mother. She died in a hospital in Goyang, South Korea at the age of 35. Doesn't say what she died of. And she wrote a follow-up book called I Want to Die, But I Still Want to Eat. Teokibuki.
Hmm.
Teokibuki.
Teokiboki.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, which is very sad. Okay, the next one is Ace Frehley, an American musician born April 27th, 1951, and died October 16th, 2025. He was the original lead guitarist, occasional vocalist, and founding member of Kiss. He invented the persona of the spaceman. Frehley was noted for his aggressive, atmospheric, and melodic guitar playing, and for the use of many special effects guitars, including a Gibson Les Paul guitar that emitted smoke from its neck, humbucker pickup, and produced spinning pyrotechnics, and a custom Les Paul that emitted light based on the tempo of a song. Frehley was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014 as a member of Kiss. World Guitar Magazine ranked him among the greatest metal guitarists of all time. He died from complications from a fall he had in his home studio. I remember Kiss. My favorite was Peter Criss, the drummer. Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, Paul Stanley, and Gene Simmons.
I don't know. I mean, I know like their biggest hits, but I was never I never like listened to all of their music or anything.
I wasn't a big Kiss fan. They all, which I thought was very interesting, they all put out, as Kiss members, they all did solo albums as
Mm.
Kiss members. So the solo album had a picture of a black background with them on the front. And so Ace Frehley had one where he was the lead singer. Peter Criss had one where he was the lead singer. Of course, the other two, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Peter Criss had his song Beth is like very well known
Mm.
in our generation. It is a beautiful song. And I think that's one of the reasons I liked Peter Criss. And I also have a thing for drummers. But I wasn't a huge Kiss. And I tried listening to some of their music currently, like Ace Frehley's album, and I just couldn't get into it. But it's not because I don't like rock music anymore. They just weren't my ones that I liked, gosh, I remember, like, I liked Peter Frampton, I liked The Who, I liked Bachman Turner Overdrive. I don't know, a lot of these rock singers, rock bands, but Kiss just wasn't one of them. course, there was also the whole, they're Satan worshipers, the acronym for KISS meant Kids in Satan's Service.
Oh
And
my gosh. Listen, you're not a real rock and roll star until someone is suspected that you're a Satan worshiper. There are a lot of people who think that Taylor Swift is a Satan worshiper because of random stuff that she's done during a concert or whatever. It's par for the course. So
well, that's what happens when people are jealous of you or just don't understand you
just don't understand you, yeah.
or afraid of you. Our next woman is Dita Kraus, a Czech Israeli teacher, writer, and Auschwitz survivor born on July 12, 1929, and died October 18, 2025. She was known for being the Auschwitz librarian. She was responsible for organizing the borrowing and hiding of books. She met her husband in Auschwitz and married him after going to Israel after the war was over. Antonio Iturbi wrote the book, The Librarian of Auschwitz, which was based on interviews with Krauss. She later wrote her own account called A Delayed Life.
Yep, I know. I've not read it, but I know the Librarian of Auschwitz well. It was all over the place a few years ago. Everyone who's hung out in the book world has seen that cover, and it got all of the acclaim that it most likely deserved. And so,
Which, she could have, borrowing and the hiding of books, she could have died doing that. She put her own life on the line. Okay, so the next person is Gregory B. Newby, an American and Canadian information scientist born on February 9, 1965, and died October 21st, 2025. He was the volunteer CEO of the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the organization supporting the Project Gutenberg library of digitized ebooks. He was also a longtime volunteer for the conference Hackers on Planet Earth, or HOPE. Project Gutenberg is a volunteer effort to digitize and archive cultural works, as well as to encourage the creation and distribution of ebooks. HOPE consists of 3 days and 3 nights of activities, including talks, workshops, and performances. It also features hackerspace villages, a film festival, lock-picking villages, a wide variety of vendors, art installations, live video, vintage computers, robots, and amateur ham radio station, electronics workshops, and book signings. He competed in several marathons and participated in dog sled races. He died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 60.
60.
I thought that was just, we have all this stuff, and here was one of the people that helped to get ebooks out there.
Well, and Project Gutenberg is very well known as, so they digitize like informational text, like textbooks and things like that, and then make them free. And so that's something you hear a lot in the conversations about like anti-pirating conversations, because there are always the people who are like, oh, well, I pirate books because I can't afford them, and which is of course not a valid excuse. And everyone's like, go hang out in the places where they're legally free, like Project Gutenberg.
I don't remember, but there's an episode of Seinfeld where George is tasked to read a book, and George doesn't read books.
I was gonna say, does he know how to read?
You're right. And so he pretends to be blind so that he can have this book read for him by a company. I don't know if it was Hope or not, but a group of people that will do that will do audiobooks for the blind. So he has the book read for him, and it turns out that the person reading the book, which is actually George in real life, but it sounds like him, and he hates the sound of his voice, so he can't listen to the book anyways.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so
I need to
silly
listen.
because like audiobooks just exist. That's so
Well, back then they
I was gonna
didn't
say
as
maybe it was
prevalent.
maybe it was a bit different, because I also know that like there are companies that will, so if you are blind, they'll give them to you for free. Like it's a library service. They send it to your house, you listen to it, and then you send it back. And it's free because it's like a government kind of program. So and maybe, but that's so silly.
Yeah, and that's what he does. He goes into the doctor's office and has himself declared legally blind so that he can have the book read to him.
Look, I don't wanna to work up anybody who might be listening, but man, I hate that show. And this is why.
Because of George.
Because of George.
Okay, let's see. So the next person is Eman Atienza. She is a Filipino and Taiwanese social media personality, model, and mental health advocate. Born on February 8th, 2006, and died on October 22nd, 2025. She began posting creative content on TikTok and Instagram, where she became known for her light-hearted humor, commentary on social issues, and candid self-expression. Beyond entertainment, Atienza explored art and photography, serving as vice president of the photography club at International School Manila and maintaining a separate online page for her artwork. She had several tattoos, including a butterfly with a musical note on her ear that was inspired by German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's quote, "And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who couldn't hear the music." She was diagnosed with complex PTSD, bipolar disorder, and ADHD. On social media, she used her platform to discuss mental health recovery, privilege, and resilience, often encouraging empathy and understanding among her fellow followers. After her death, a bill was passed referred to as the Anti-Online Hate and Harassment Bill, or the Eman Atienza Bill. There was also an Eman Act that imposed fines up to $20,000 for certain forms of online harassment.
I was looking her up to see if her face was familiar to me, just because I spent a lot of time on TikTok and see a lot of faces, but I don't recognize her.
I don't know. They didn't say what she died of.
I mean, based on context clues, I would assume that she committed suicide, but if they passed a bill that was, anti-harassment,
She could have been harassed to the point
right?
where she killed herself.
Let's see. Yes, she committed suicide
Mm,
at 19.
gosh. 19. In just a few years, she had a huge impact in
Mm.
the world. Okay, the next person is June Lockhart, an American actress born on June 25th, 1925, and died on October 23rd. She became widely known for her work on Lassie and Lost in Space. She loved rock music and had 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one for TV and one for movies. She donated her Tony Award to the Smithsonian Institute in 2008 for display in the Permanent Entertainment Archives of the National Museum of American History. The next person is David Wilde, an English pianist, composer, and academic teacher during the 1990s. He composed many works which protested against human rights abuses that were happening at the time. It was twice honored by the city of Sarajevo. I read the book, The Cellist of Sarajevo. It was really good.
Okay. Wilde was so moved by the news reports of Smilovic, who was the cellist, playing daily in the ruins of the city that he wrote the piece to honor him, which was later famously performed by Yo-Yo Ma. So he did compose so he composed a piece called The Cellist of Sarajevo.
Okay. Yeah, and that was during the wars that were going on in Sarajevo, the occupation, all that. There was it was crazy because the cities were in ruins, and there was this cellist that would go out there at a specific time and play. And you had to be careful. The people had to be careful crossing the streets and to go get water or food or something like that, because the soldiers that were up high would just pick you off.
Mm-hmm.
They may pick you off, they may not. You never knew. So somebody could just they would have like people waiting on corners to cross the street, but they were terrified to cross the street and go out in the open. And this cellist went out and set up his cello in the middle of all the ruins, right in the area of gunfire, and played for like, several minutes every single day. It was crazy. Okay, so the next person is Bjorn Johan Andresen, a Swedish actor and musician born on January 26, 1955, and died October 25th, 2025. He had appeared in many movies such as Death in Venice, Shelley, and Midsommar. I looked up Shelley, and I would like to see that one, but it's only showing on AMC Plus. I don't remember him in Midsommar.
I wonder if he's the old man that dies at the beginning of Midsommar.
Maybe. I only saw it once, and I didn't really care for it, so.
Thing.
All right, the next person is another actress, Prunella Scales, an English actress born June 22nd, 1932, and died on October 27th, 2025. She was best known for playing Sybil Fawlty in the BBC sitcom Fawlty Towers. She also appeared in The Hounds of the Baskervilles in 1978, The Boys from Brazil in 1978, Howard's End in 1992, and Wolf in 1994. She was married to Timothy West, and her son Samuel West is also an actor. Scales was a patron of the Lace Market Theatre in Nottingham. She and her husband were also patrons of Beyond Autism. I love Fawlty Towers, and I love Sybil Fawlty. She's great.
I've never seen it. I've heard a lot of talk around it because I listen to a lot of podcasts of comedians talking to other comedians, and they will often bring up Fawlty Towers as it was, a comedy, a very iconic comedy, but I've not seen it.
John Cleese
Mm-hmm.
plays Fawlty. He and she own a bed and breakfast. So she's very practical. She's very down to earth. And of course, anything that goes wrong, John Cleese messes it up, or he's trying to fix it and things go wrong. And so I like the show. Okay, so that's the end of our just regular breakdown of people. Is there anything you have to comment on of the people we've done so far?
No.
So my highlight person was Dame Patricia Rutledge. I love Patricia Rutledge. She's an English actress and singer born February 17th, 1929,
No way.
and died on October 3rd, 2025. She was best known for her portrayal as Hyacinth Bouquet. Everybody called her Bucket.
Miss
And she was
Bucket.
like, ugh, ugh. And they're like, oh, sorry, Bouquet. In the BBC series Keeping Up Appearances, she was nominated twice for the BAFTA TV Award for Best Light Entertainment Performance. She is said to have a vocal range labeled as mezzo-soprano. She appeared on stage in Richard III, Little Mary Sunshine, Noises Off, and The Importance of Being Earnest. She appeared in Leonard Bernstein's 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, where she played U.S. First Lady Abigail Adams. She did a lot of stuff. What I found interesting is that she said she had a beautiful voice. And in Keeping Up Appearances, she pretends her voice, purposely sings off key.
Mm-hmm.
So when she talks about singing, oh, you should listen to me sing. And everybody's like, oh, we don't want to listen to you sing. But she had a beautiful voice.
Hmm.
She was appointed, let me see. It says, Rutledge said of the afterlife, when I approach the pearly gates, I'd like to hear a champagne cork popping, an orchestra tuning up, and the sound of my mother laughing. She was appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1993, Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2004, Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2017. She also did the series Hetty Wainthropp Investigates, which came after Keeping Up Appearances, and that had what's his name in it? Pippin.
Yeah,
Barron.
Dominic Monaghan. It said earlier in the your breakdown that mentioned him.
Okay. It was a long breakdown, so I didn't want to read the whole thing,
Okay,
but
yeah.
yeah, there it is. She appears to be heading Weintraub investigates with Dominic Monaghan. Having a distinctive voice, Rutledge also recorded and released a variety of audiobooks, including unabridged recordings of Wuthering Heights and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. She lived in Chichester, West Sussex, and worshiped at Chichester Cathedral. What I think is also interesting is that her full name was Catherine Patricia Rutledge. So when my mother, of course, named me Patricia, and I did not like that name until I found out it was Grace Kelly's middle name.
Oh.
So her name is Grace Patricia Kelly. And then I'm reading this and I find out that it's also Catherine Patricia Rutledge. That's her middle name. Yes, she was great. She did get honored by both Queen Elizabeth and King Charles.
These are such good photos of her. I didn't recognize her name when you said her name. You know, you told me who you were doing, and I was like, okay, like I don't know who that is. And then I saw her somewhere. I must have been when you sent this to me, and I was like, oh, it's the bucket lady.
Yes.
I just know her face so well from that show, just watching it over your shoulder for so many years.
Yes. Well, that's who I have. Who do you have to highlight this month?
I am talking about the absolute science icon that was Jane Goodall. And I wanted to, like, because I know that there's at least one, I'm sure there's many, but there's like one well-known documentary about her, and I really wanted to sit down and watch it, and I just got too busy. But I wanted to, so I kind of was like breaking down her life and wanted to do research on like different pieces because I feel like she's known, I mean, she's known for one very specific thing when she did so much. Goodall was born in Hampstead in 1934, which is in London. When I looked up 1934, 1934 feels like a different time, like a million years ago. That year just like startled me. So she had always had this like passion and this desire to go to Africa, like from a very young age. And so as soon as she could, she met the, oh my goodness, paleoanthropologist, is a very long word, Louis Leakey. He had originally hired her as his secretary, but then they went to Tanzania to study the chimpanzees. And she was chosen because she was very patient, she was very observant, she was just, and like this is kind of the view that I always had of her just from seeing her over the years of this very like she was quiet and she was gentle and all of these things. So then after this she went to Gombe, I believe is how it's pronounced. And that's when she started doing her own field work. And she didn't have formal training. Like she didn't have a degree and she didn't have higher education. But she just had her own knowledge and passion of animals from just her lifetime. But then, so she came back and with all of this research that she had and people didn't want to listen to her. What she had essentially observed in these chimpanzees was that of course that they were smarter than everyone thought they were, and so they were able to make tools, to use tools that they had. She was watching how they behaved with each other, the way that they communicated, and that there was a lot of sophisticated communication between the animals. And so from here, she was admitted to Cambridge, and this was in 1961, and she became one of the only people to ever get accepted into the PhD program without having a bachelor's degree. So she just went straight into a PhD, which is epic. And then she got a PhD in ethology at Cambridge. And then she went back and continued her research. And so all of this started when she was 26. So that's when she originally went out with Louis Leakey and started her research was when she was 26. Oh, there's my note. So she discovered that chimpanzees use and make tools, hunt and eat meat, and have complex social lives with deep familial bonds, individual personalities, and emotions like compassion. She had a lot of study of how they can be violent too, and we know that chimpanzees can be like deeply violent, but monkeys and a lot of animals, but specifically that chimpanzees, gorillas, like they are highly intelligent. Um, so after her time, because then I was like, well, what, we know her so well from this period of time and this research that she did. And so I looked up, what came after. And so obviously she was a conservationist. She established the Jane Goodall Institute in 1977, and they worked to protect wildlife and habitats. She also founded the global youth program Roots and Shoots in 1991 to empower young people to take action in their communities. She was 91 when she died, and she just, I mean, it was cardiac arrest, but that would essentially, she died of old age. So yeah, it was very fascinating to, much like we were talking about with Diane Keaton, like this was a woman who did not conform. This was a woman who said, here's what I'm going to do, and no one's going to stop me. And not having formal education is not going to stop me. Women in science and in scientific fields are still fighting against sexism in science. And so for her to have done all of these things so long ago is very, very cool.
Yeah, and I was going through the Wikipedia. It says she described in the 1974 through 78 Gombe chimp- chimpanzee war in her 1990 memoir, Through a Window, My 30 Years with the Chimpanzees of Gombe. She was with them for 30 years?
I know she was out there for a long time because the photos that I had always seen of her with them out there, she was always like gray haired, middle aged or older, but she started when she was 26. And so I think that this was, her life's work. This is what she did.
Yeah, it says that she worked with NASA to use satellite imagery from the Landsat series to remedy the effects of deforestation in chimpanzees and local communities in Western Africa. Yeah, you said she was born in 1934. That's when Grandma was born, 1934, because
Oh,
she's
really?
91.
Oh, wowza. It's just 1934 just sounded like you almost go, well, no, there's no one still alive who was born in 1934. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like so long ago that there's no way that it'd be possible. It feels like a billion years ago.
We are 9 years away from it being 100 years ago.
I know. It's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
That's why when I meet people who are like, I was born in 2008, I'm like, I could puke. Like, go away.
Well, I always admired her just simply because of her work with animals, you know, and I love animals. So I think for her to dedicate all that time with these animals and learning from them and like you said, doing it back in what 1977 when she started, it's amazing.
Yeah, and to have so much focus on, like, to say not just I'm going to study animals, but I'm going to study this one very specific kind of animal. And I mean, that's what we need. And we need people who are willing to dedicate the time to really understand um, each individual creature. Even now, like, we just to not understand the effects that we're having on animals and that animals are having on each other and that global warming is having on animals and every tiny little thing that we do affects everything. And so yeah, to say these animals this one species of animal is so important that it's worth a lifetime of research is kind of a very cool and very humble thing, I think. So it was very cool.
And the reservation where she was, the you said that was in Tanzania?
Hmm.
Okay.
That's where she is. She started in Tanzania and then she moved to Gombe. I don't know if, like, I don't know enough about my geography to know exactly
Oh,
where either of those
it
are.
says Gombe Stream National Park, Tanzania,
Oh, okay.
in
That's what I was wondering. I
1960.
was wondering if Gombe was in Tanzania. So yeah.
Man, I just didn't realize she spent that much time with them. I just thought it was a few years, but very, very interesting. And I can't even watch these animal documentaries where the animals are being killed or where they're, because there was one documentary I saw about some chimpanzees
Mm,
and they showed something and I was like, I can't watch this. I know it's
mm,
nature,
mm,
but I have a hard time seeing animals dying,
mm,
and it just broke my heart. And she would have had to have gone in there and not disrupted.
mm.
Otherwise that would have ruined her research.
Yeah.
And you just don't, if you're going to study nature, you have to let nature take its course.
Yeah. That's, and of course, I'm like, I haven't taken any kind of oath to not mess with nature because we had for just a couple of days, we had a little awesome visitor that hung out by the house for like 3, 4 days. And there was this one day that the possum and my little pet squirrels, I used to call them my pets because those are my little babies, and they were both, so the possum and Carlos were both on the neighbor's roof, and they were just like watching each other. And Jeremy looked over my shoulder and he was like, possums will eat squirrels. And I just start like banging on the window, like, Carlos, run! Like, don't get eaten. I'm like, I don't care if it's nature, he can't eat my little baby. So I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to, and I know how important that is, for especially like the ones that do the documentaries, the ones that go out and, unless your goal is to fix a specific problem, like you're not supposed to mess with nature, you're not supposed to interfere, and it's very important that nature be allowed to do its own thing. But I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, no, stay off the little babies. There'd be like there'd be a lion going after an antelope, and I'd be like, no, not the antelope.
Yeah, because it says Goodall observed the tendency for aggression and violence within chimpanzee troops.
Mm,
She observed dominant females deliberately killing the young of other females in the troop to maintain their dominance, going
mm.
as far as cannibalism. And I was like, I couldn't sit back and watch that.
It would be very hard. It takes, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
scientists, the kinds of stuff, if you think of, I'm so tender-hearted that I'm like, I really wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger, but I'm like, no, because you have to like see animals die. You have to put animals down. You have to, and there are people out there made of sterner stuff who have the ability to do that. I am not one of them.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. Jane Goodall. It's amazing some of these people who are passing, that the world is without them. Okay, well that's it. That's all we have for this podcast for those who passed and left us in October of 2025. Do you have any departing words, Vicky? Let's hope we have nothing to talk about next month.
Yeah, please, no deaths whatsoever in the month of November. Although I mean, November's almost over, so I think maybe the damage is done, but
Yeah, I try to keep up with it so that I'm not like crazy far behind looking at them, because I just got to 6.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I have not seen any as of yet that I've gone, oh, that person is deeply recognizable.
Dick Cheney?
Never mind. I remember Dick Cheney.
I
Yep.
know. I was like, I don't remember Dick Cheney dying.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope you guys have a great month and hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And we will see you at the end of November. Thank you for doing this with me, Vicky.
Pew 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 pew.
All right. Bye bye.